Hello, good evening everybody. I'm Vivek Nair. I'm a physical therapist from Neurosym Brain and Spine Institute, Seawoods, Navi Mumbai. In our previous webinars, I spoke about neck muscle strengthening exercises, upper back strengthening exercises, lower limb muscle strengthening exercises, and lower limb muscle stretchings. So today I would be focusing about, if you can see that board, I'll be focusing about trunk strengthening exercises and ambulation. So like previous times, I have categorized in different on the basis of severity of the symptom. We'll be first talking about patients with mild to moderate symptoms and what all exercises I'd be suggesting you to do or focus on. Before we enter exercises, I would like to talk about muscle fatigue and muscle cramps too, which you have to be more careful about while doing all the exercises. Because a lot of times I've seen that patients with mild symptoms, they are ignorant about when they are getting tired. So they keep pushing themselves to their maximum limit, which makes their muscle go fatigue, and it becomes very difficult for them to perform all the rest of the activities. So every time you do all the exercises, you have to make sure that you give proper resting period of time after every activity that you do. It is very important that you give rest for your muscles, or else it becomes very difficult for you to complete the task, as well as it becomes difficult for you to do all your day-to-day life activities after that. So let's start with the exercises. In our trunk, we have abdomen, upper abdomen, lower abdomen, pectoral muscles, upper back muscles, and back extensors. So I'll start with upper abdomen exercises. For that, I'll need a model. Joshi, please sit here. You can ask the patient to sit on the edge of the couch and keep one. Just a second. Sorry. Keep one peanut ball or a Swiss ball. If you don't have that, you can also use pillows or a bolster just to keep a support behind them. Okay, and ask the patient to hold their hand, go back and then come forward. Go back, forward. Yeah, good. Forward. Good. One more time. You can do this exercise for 10 times. It depends on person to person based on their stamina and endurance that they have. If you're able to do it 10 times easily, well and good. After completing 10 times, you can take 30 seconds rest or 1 minute rest. If it's very difficult for you to do 10 times, you can break it into two halves. You can do 5 times, take rest, and then the another 5 times. Do it one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you see, I'm giving some support over the knee also. So in case if they get tired, they also use their lower abdomen or hip flexor muscles to pull their upper body forward. So they are also recruiting their lower abdomen muscles. So you have to see their expressions if they are getting tired. If they are getting tired, ask them to take 10 seconds or 15 seconds break. Similarly, this is focusing more on your upper abdomen. Similarly, you can focus on lateral trunk muscles by asking them to move sideways. So in this, I'll be sitting in front of him. Again, I'll be placing my feet over his so that I can give him some stability on the foot, and then I'll be holding his knee and then asking him to go sideways. Up. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then relax. And then I can do the same thing with the other side. Do it one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Relax. If you are getting tired in between, you can take rest after 5 times. If even 5 times is difficult for you, you can take rest after 3 times also. You can just have a 10-second break and then continue. So you can have 3 sets of 3 repetition, which makes it 9. And then if you are tired, you can take a break. If you are not tired, you can complete it for 10. This was focusing more on your upper abdomen and the lateral trunk muscles. Now we'll focus on your lower abdomen. For that, you will have to lie down on your back. for patients with my symptom, all these exercises might look a little easy, and I'm showing you all the basic exercises that you can do at home if no one is there to help you out also, or it is better if a patient has moderate symptoms. If you have one person around you, it's always a safer side. For lower abdomen strengthening exercise, what you have to do is straighten your legs and lift both the legs up, touch my hand. 1. You can feel strong contraction of your lower abdomen. Good. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can feel him also gasping because it is a very tiring exercise. Even for me, even for all the normal people, it is very difficult to raise both your legs together and do it continuously for 10 to 15 times. So even if you are getting tired, there is nothing wrong in that. It is quite natural, and you can take a rest after 5 reps, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, as much as make it as comfortable as possible. You don't have to push yourself too much. That will just result in muscle fatigue. Similarly, if keeping your legs straight and lifting becomes very difficult for you, you can just bend your knee and then pull your knees towards your chest. 1, yes, good. Pull. 2, 3. This is much easier, and this also focuses on your lower abdomen and hip flexors. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Relax. So that now I have covered your upper abdomen, lower abdomen, and the lateral trunk muscles. I'll move to back extensors. Okay, so perform back extension exercises. You will have to lie down on your tummy, like just turn over. Okay. While working on the back extensors, I prefer keeping a pillow or a bolster below the tummy. Now keep the hands behind, hold your hands behind. Now lift your shoulder and head up. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In this exercise, you are focusing all your back extensor muscles. And now, it's not, you have to also focus on your scapular muscles. For scapular muscles, actually I have already taken a webinar in which I have spoken about scapular muscle strengthening exercises in detail. However, I will be showing it now also. And if you want to know more, you can anyways watch that video which is there in Neurogen Facebook account. For scapular muscles, you can keep your hand behind and just lift your hand upwards and then lift your head up and squeeze your shoulder blade. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Down. Up. Squeeze your shoulder blade. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up. Squeeze your shoulder blade. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have to lift your hands up, squeeze your shoulder blade and hold it for 5 seconds. Depending on your stamina and endurance, again you can take rest in between if you are getting tired. If you are not getting tired, well and good, you can continue to 10 times. Similarly, keeping your hands behind, now you can keep sideways. Now lift your hands up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax. Okay, just a second. I'll just turn the pillow so that it's more comfortable. Okay. Now lift your hands up. Squeeze your blade. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, good. Up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax. Up. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Initially, we focused more on the lower aspect of muscle. Now we are focusing more on the mid aspect of the muscle. Again, after every exercise, give proper resting period. Now since that we have covered back extensors and upper back, that is scapular muscles, I'll move towards bridging exercises. Okay, from bridging also you'll have to lie down on your back. So get comfortable. Keep a pillow under your head. You can ask the patient to flex both his knees, push the leg down on the bed and lift his hip up. One more time. When you do this, you are pushing your upper back on the bed. So your back muscles are working, your glutes are working, it's overall your trunk muscles are working, which is also a very good exercise and can also get you tired very soon. So for this also, relax, take a deep breath. Are you okay? Comfortable? Okay. So while doing these exercises also, if you are getting tired, you can take 10 to 15 seconds of break, make yourself comfortable and then go ahead to the new exercise. You can do this for 10 times. Similarly, like you don't have to hold it for a very long duration. Can you do it one more time? 1, down. 2, down. 3, down. Very good. 4, down. 5, down. 6, down. If the patient has any difficulty to do it, you can give them mild support also. 7, very good. 8, 9, one more. 10. Relax. Take a deep breath. Take break for 10 seconds. And then in bridging you have different variations you can try. I like to make them use their adductors also. So for that, what I do is, just a second. I ask them to hold a pillow between their knees, squeeze it, and then lift their hip up. 1, down. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Relax. Another variation that you can try is keep a bolster or a pile of pillows or even a ball like this. It's called a peanut ball. You can use this ball for various exercises for trunk and lower limb also. Ask the patient to keep both of his legs over the ball, and now keeping the knee straight, they have to push their heel down and lift their hip up. Can you do that? Good. 1, down. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I hope you understood all the exercises that I've shown till now. We have covered upper abdomen, lower abdomen, back extensors, head, upper back muscles. Now, initially I showed you some basic exercises focusing on abdomen and back. Now I'll be showing you a little complex but very easy to do at home. For patients with mild symptoms, this exercise would be very easy, and if they do, it will help them a lot. For patients with moderate symptoms also it is easy, but in case if they have too much of upper limb weakness, for example, if there is difficulty in lifting hand, or if the shoulder range is not more than 30° in flexion or 30° in abduction, I would suggest them not to do this exercise. But patients with mild symptoms who have a very good upper body, upper limb muscle strength, then you can definitely go for this. So I'll require one stool for doing this exercise. I'll show you one thing first. When you're doing this, whenever you sit, your hip should be slightly above your knee. Okay? And this makes it more comfortable. And usually if I show you like this, if I'm sitting totally behind, I have a huge base of support. Okay? This makes my muscles relax a lot. So I normally go in a slouched posture. Now, if I ask them to sit at the edge of the table, automatically the pelvic tilts forward, their postural muscles are more active. This improves their posture automatically. Now in this posture, what you can do is, even the foot placement, it shouldn't be at the level of the knee, it should be slightly behind the knee. And the foot shouldn't be more than 7 to 8 centimeters apart. And in this position, correct your posture first, keep your spine straight, and then keeping your spine straight, bend as much as possible forward, and then keep your hand on a table. Now in this posture, right now I can feel my muscles burning already. In this posture, your back extensors and abdomen muscles, they both are working equally. We call it as co-activation of muscle. And in this position, what you can do is, it's a very basic exercise. I can feel my weight taking on the hips, knees, ankle, and even the upper limb. In this, now what exercise you can do is, you can just lift one hand up and then place it down. You can do it 5 times with the left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Similarly, 5 times with the right hand. 3, 4, and 5. Closed chain activities have shown very good changes in patients with mild to moderate symptoms. If the upper limb muscles are not that poor and if they have spasticity, it also helps in reducing the spasticity. And it can be very tiring, so you can take as many breaks as you want in between if you are getting tired. Now, like how I did lifting of the hand, you can do side shifting also. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Similarly for the right hand also. And one more variation that you can do is, you can just keep your spine straight, take your hands forward, and then lift your leg up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Similarly, sideways. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For both the legs. This exercise is very good for your, not only for your trunk, but also for your upper limb, also for your hip, and for your knee. It looks very easy, but believe me, it's not that easy to do. It tires you a lot, so you have to be careful while doing it. You cannot just push yourself all the time. Take proper rest in between. So I'll move towards the next exercise now, for which I'll need a model. Yoshi? So next exercise will be cat and camel exercise, which is a good exercise for your spine mobility. You will have to go on all fours position, or you also call it as quadruped position. In this, you have to take your head down, flex your head, and arch your back up. Similarly, when your head comes up, your back goes down. One more time. 1, 2, very good. 3, back goes up, head goes down. 4, last one. 5. Relax. At times, patients with moderate symptoms, they might be having difficulty to perform this. So what they can do is, they can keep a pile of pillows under their tummy so that they don't have to put too much weight or bear too much weight on their shoulders and hip. So by keeping a pile of pillows or a huge bolster between your hand and knee, it gives you a support to your trunk, which makes the activity much easier. Similarly, apart from cat and camel, you can also do the bird's position, for which again I'll ask you to please, can you go to the all four position? Yes, very good. In this position, you have to lift one hand forward, good, one leg back, and then down. Again, 1, again, 2. So this works on your upper scapular muscles, and back extensors too, plus glutes and the shoulder muscles. If lifting leg and hand simultaneously is difficult for you, you can do just hand or just the leg. Just wait a second. Down, sit hard. Just the hand 10 times. Good. 1, 2, 3. Similarly, the other hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax. Now just the leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like I told you, while doing quadruped position, if you are getting too tired, or if it's becoming too difficult for you to hold this position, you can always keep a pile of pillows just below your tummy, or else I'll show you one more thing. Just a second, I'll just get that. Instead of pile of pillows, I am using a huge bolster, but I'm sure not everyone would be having this at home. So at the you can use pile of pillows like 3 to 4 pillows. I'm just showing this so that you get an idea how to use it. So you can keep 3 to 4 or 4 to 5 pillows under the tummy so that they get proper support while doing it and they don't get tired. So we'll move towards the next exercise now. These exercises, whatever I showed you, can be done by mild to moderate symptom patients. Similarly, for severe symptom patients, all these activities would be too much of a challenge. So for them, I have selected some easy exercises that they can do at home with someone's support. I'll start with sitting balance exercises. For that, usually in patients with severe symptoms, their upper limb muscle involvement is severe and it's too much. So it would be very difficult for them to take the hand support. They cannot lock their elbows and hold it like this. In such cases, what we give them is we give them a elbow splint that keeps their elbow in extension and prevents the buckling of the elbow joint. I'll show you what we use. Can you get that elbow splint? I'll show you how we wear it, how we ask the patient to wear it in their arm. Now when I wear this, there is no chance that my elbow can buckle. So it is completely safe and you can now use it for making them do exercises. Okay. If I wear this on both the hands, I can comfortably sit using my hand support. So I will show you in the other hand also. When you are making patient with severe symptoms do all these activities, you have to make sure that there is someone with them who can take care of things if it goes wrong. You have to be very careful because it would be very difficult for them to maintain their balance in sitting, or even while lifting them to from supine to sit. You have to be careful. Their neck muscles might be the strength might be very poor. They might be having severe neck drop also. So it is always better to, if you're planning to make them sit for a very long time or stand for a long time, you give them a neck collar which keeps their neck straight, and if you give them a neck collar, automatically their breathing is better compared to when it is in a flexion. Now I'll move towards the sitting exercise for severe patients, patients with severe symptoms. You can see how I've put my elbow splints. This prevents elbow from buckling. Now you can keep the hands forward, make the patient to sit on the edge of the couch and just ask them to do forward and backward rocking. In this, with the help of their arm, they are using their trunk muscles to go forward and backward. While doing this exercise, make sure one person is sitting in front of you and a person behind you, because in case if you lose balance behind and if you are going to fall behind, there should be someone to help you prevent it. You can hold the knees for the leg support and ask the patient to rock forward and backward. Similarly, you can ask them to rock sideways too. It will be a weight bearing exercise for the shoulders as well as the trunk muscles too. You have to be careful again. If the patient loses balance, he or she shouldn't be falling down, because that would give him some major or minor injuries, which is always bad. So you have to be careful while making them do all these activities. Another way of strengthening their abdomen and back muscles are when they are sitting with the same elbow length, you can just ask them to push forward. Give very minimal resistance and ask them to push forward. So with the help of hand and abdomen, they will push forward, and you have to give them resistance. That will automatically strengthen their upper abdomen. Similarly, what you can do is now I'm keeping my hands in the posterior aspect and then asking him to push it back. Good. So while pushing back, he is not only using his back extensor, if you can see, he is also using his neck extensors, which is already weak for them. So you are strengthening both neck extensors and back extensors while pushing back. So this covers their abdomen sitting balance as well as abdomen strengthening, back extensor strengthening, neck extensor strengthening. Now I would like to show you one exercise which focuses on lower abdomen. Right. For lower abdomen, what you can do is you can tie a strap, and if you can see my previous webinar on lower limb strengthening exercises, I have showed you use of suspension therapy for strengthening your lower abdomen. So what we do is usually we tie both the legs so that it doesn't go in abduction and keeps the knees in adapted position. And in that there is a strap which holds the knee in this upright 90-degree position. And now the leg is suspended in the suspension cage, and ask the patient to just pull the knee towards himself and touch the hand. You can do this suspended activity or suspension therapy. You can ask the patient to do it for 15 to 20 times. Initially start with 15 to 20 times, and then slowly based on their stamina and endurance, you can increase the number to 30 to 50 times also. Nice. This will focus more on their lower abdomen. Now, these are some of the basic or the most easiest exercises that you can do on patients with motor neuron disorders to maintain their muscle strength of trunk muscles as well as hip, as well as upper back, low back. So, our main aim is not to improve the strength. Our main aim should be to maintain the muscle strength which is available, and also to improve the endurance so that you can do one particular activity for more number of times without getting the muscle tired. If that happens, you can actually see changes in your day-to-day life activity. For example, when you turn, when you try to get up and sit, when you try to get up and stand, all these exercises would make it look much easier when you actually apply it while doing the day-to-day life activities. Okay, so that was all for the trunk strengthening exercises. Now I'll move towards ambulation. Ambulation, usually for mild symptom patients, it's very they won't be having much of trouble while walking. In my last webinar, I have discussed about stretchings, which plays a major role in walking, because a lot of patients might be having spasticity, and when you do stretching for calf, hamstrings, and to some extent hip flexors properly, your ambulation gets much better. So I have anyways explained all the stretchings in my previous webinar. You can go and check that in our Neurogen Facebook account. So today I'll be focusing more on how to improve walking. So there are some walking aids that we use to make it much easier, or it may reduce the effort that the patient uses. There are different kinds of walker. Mainly there is one 4-point walker in which there is 4-point walker in which there is no wheel. There is one 4-point walker in which the front 2 parts would be having wheels, and there is another one in which all the 4 parts would be having wheels. And all these 4-point walkers are much comfortable. I'll be showing you all the different kinds of walker now. And there is one Kunming walker, which is again, it's good for exercise point of view, or if you have a huge house where you have a lot of space, you can easily walk inside the house using that Kunming walker. I'll be showing you that also, and some basic exercises that you can do with the Kunming walker also I'll be showing. And apart from that, what all are the orthoses that you can use to make your walking much easier? Can you get up and sit? इधर आ a basic 4-point walker. Usually, patients who are having good or mild to moderate symptoms, they can easily walk independently with the help of walker. I usually suggest patients to walk with the help of walker when they have mild balance issue to reduce the risk of fall. Because if they fall and get some serious injuries, that can also trigger their deterioration or increase the weakness or increase the effort while doing all the day-to-day life activities. So it is always better to prevent falls, and walker does a wonder job for preventing falls. This increases your base of support. You can comfortably lift it up, take steps, walk, stand. Lift it up, take step, walk, and stand. You can take break after every one or two steps. If you are comfortable, you can continuously walk also. This walker specifically, it doesn't have any wheels in it. So patients who have good upper limb strength are much comfortable with this walker. Patients who have shoulder muscle weakness, they usually prefer the walker which has wheels in front of them. In this, it is much easier because they don't have to actually lift the walker and keep forward. They can just push it forward and then walk. They can just keep pushing and walk forward. In this, even if they have poor finger muscles but they have good shoulder or elbow muscles, they can place their hand on the grip side and just push forward and walk and then take a break. In this also I would mention, if you are getting tired while walking, if you feel that your knees are going to buckle, make sure that you have someone standing behind all the time so that if you want to sit, you have a chair ready for you to sit. Make sure that you have someone with you. If you're confident, if your muscle strength is good, if you have only mild symptoms, if you feel that okay, you can walk inside the house or go outdoor without falling, then you can walk independently. But at any point, if you feel that okay, I feel tired and then my knees would buckle, it's always better to ask someone to be around. And then the third walker that I mentioned is a Kunming walker. It has a higher support, a big base of support, in which you can place your elbows and hold. You have a holder where you can hold, and then you can just push it forward and walk. This is much easier. You have brakes also in the wheels in case if you feel that it is going too far away from you, you can apply one of the brakes and then push it. It is easy. It is easy to work on your posture with this walker. You can just do squat or marching with this. You can walk forward as well as backward. You can just do forward, sideways stepping. All these exercises becomes easy for you to perform with this walker. However, when you are at home, it becomes slightly difficult if you don't have much space. So a lot of people go with the small walker, 4-point walker, which has wheels on it. The other options are canes. The other option are these canes, a single cane. Okay, so what makes these two canes different is their support. This is a quadruped cane and this is a tripod cane. Okay, usually I suggest all my patients to go for quadruped cane because the base of support is more and support is much better. And unless and until the patient has a very good upper limb strength, distally as well as proximally, I won't suggest them to walk with a cane, single cane. If the shoulder muscles or distal muscles are weak, I ask them to use a 4-point walker, which is much safer. If the upper limbs are strong and if they have some mild balance issues, then I would ask them to use a quadruped cane. Another common factor or thing that all the motor neuron disorder patients fight with is foot drop. So to prevent foot drop or to maintain the anchor to be in neutral, we use AFOs. Joshi, can you please show me the AFOs? There are different types of AFOs. There are static AFOs, dynamic AFOs. These can get a little heavier at times. There are different AFOs from different companies. If you try to buy AFOs from Autobob, They have much lighter version of AFOs, but comparatively very costly compared to the usual AFOs. What I usually use is there is another boot which has a metal steel shank behind, and this also prevents the ankle from going into dorsiflexion. This also makes them walk much more comfortably. Again, patients with mild symptoms are much more comfortable with these. Patients with moderate to severe might be a little difficult because this makes it more. This is slightly heavy, which makes it more difficult for them to walk. I had one more thing, which we call it as figure of eight band. It is an elastic band which we use usually. Last week, one patient had come. He liked it so much that whatever we had two pairs with us, and he wanted both of them to take it back to UK. So he took it back. So I don't have actually to show it to you. But this is something. It's a elastic band which you actually tie, which you take it from the lower aspect of your foot and then take it, wrap it around on your ankle, which holds your foot in neutral. It is lightweighted, much cheaper, and actually in my previous webinar I have showed the figure of eight band. I call it a magical band because it's very useful for patients with a foot drop, and it makes life easier while climbing stairs or while walking. If you can refer that video, you'll get a better picture of what that band is and how it is applied in the foot. So I hope you all got an idea about how you can work on the trunk muscles and how all these walking aids can assist you while walking. Again, I would like to highlight, don't push yourself. Always try to do, it is a funful activity. You don't have to make it look like a punishment. You always can do all the exercises with proper resting period of time. Make sure you enjoy all these activities, and these are some most basic and easiest exercises that you can do at home. But patients with moderate to severe conditions, make sure that you have someone with you while doing exercises in case if anything goes wrong, that you have some help. Okay, and in the view of the current scenario of COVID, kindly wear mask whenever you are going out. If you're be at home, you will be safer there, and always use a mask in case if you want to go out. By that, I would like to end the session today, and I hope you got a lot of information through this webinar. And if you have any doubts, you can ask or drop down your questions in the comment box. Thank you. If you are a DMD patient, that is a totally different case. For that, maybe I'll message you separately, because right now I was focusing more on motor neuron disorder. So I have all the exercises that I have shown here is for MND patients, not for DMD patients. For you, the question that you have put is lower back for L3, L4 DMD patient. We'll have to check whether what that problem is, what is the cause for, if you have pain, or is there increased lumbar arch, is that your concern, or whatever the concern is, I'll see to it, and then I'll try to help you out. Is there any other question? Okay, I guess I am getting another question. So wait a second. Yeah. How to strengthen gluteal muscles? How to strengthen gluteal muscles? Okay. So again, in my previous webinar, it was all about lower limb muscle strengthening exercises. In that, I have shown you all the exercises that you can do to strengthen your glutes, your hip flexors, your knee extensors, your hamstrings, your ankle muscles. Everything I have showed in detail in my previous webinar. So you can definitely go and search in our Neurogen Facebook account. You will get that video. It's right there, available for you all. And after watching that webinar also, if you have doubt, you can definitely reach out to me. I'll be glad to help you out. Any other questions that you want me to answer, please feel free to ask me. Is someone typing a question or something? If you have any questions, you can drop it in the comment box. I'll get back to all the questions. Don't worry. And if you have anything regarding motor neuron disorder, just put it down in the comment box. I'll reach out to everyone and I'll try to solve everyone's doubts. Thank you.